Now, it is true that Nebraska's offensive line in 2022 was historically bad. It's also true that when Casey Thompson went down with an injury, Nebraska fans got a taste of what it looks like without a true number one starting and without a backup, a proven backup behind him. I'm Don Collins. This is the Don Collins Show. And let's talk about Nebraska's quarterback problem, and is Malik Hornsby the answer for 2023? I want to remind you, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, this is a great time to do so. Between now and 1,000 subscribers, and we're almost there. We're almost there at 1,000 subscribers. Anybody who has emailed me their mailing address to doncollins@mail.com after subscribing to my channel is going to get in the mail something from me, something like, oh, I don't know, a Casey Thompson autographed card. And I've got hundreds of cards autographed by Nebraska players. So subscribe to the channel, email me your mailing address to doncollins@mail.com, hit the notification bell, and when we hit 1,000 subscribers, you'll get something cool in the mail. There's one other thing I want to talk to you about real quick. It's a personal thing, and I don't ever talk about me. So if you ever watch a video, you know I don't sit here and talk about me and my life, and you know, I'm just some doofus on YouTube, and I get it. People have asked me why I wear a UNO hat. And in this case, why am I wearing a UNO shirt? And yet I talk about the Huskers. What's the deal? And I've had people ask, am I not really a Husker fan? Which, by the way, it's a crazy question. I mean, I would have to be more than just some doofus on YouTube. I'd have to be a doofus, like, off of YouTube to not be a Husker fan and then, like, wear UNO gear and be like, I wonder if they notice. You know, of course I'm a Husker fan. But I wear this stuff every now and then because my son's a fifth-year senior. And he's going to graduate with honors in 2023. In fact, he's done with his classes now. So, you know, that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. No conspiracy. I'm a Husker fan, and but I'm a bigger fan of my son. And I don't mind wearing the gear that lets people know I'm proud of my son and where he goes to school. So anyway, that's why I wear Maverick stuff. Okay, let's talk about Nebraska quarterbacks. Last year, if you watched the games, I know you all did, you saw Casey Thompson play marvelously. There's no doubt in my mind that Casey Thompson's a great quarterback. From start to finish, I liked everything about Casey Thompson. There's nothing about his play I would have changed. Even the interceptions, which were kind of on pace with what Adrian Martinez threw, you know, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought he played well, good kid, good player, great attitude, hard worker, all of that. And when he went down, one more thing, the reason why Nebraska was losing so many games, even with Casey Thompson, we all understand the offensive line needs work. We all got that. But when Casey Thompson went down with an injury, we saw what it was like without having some proven backups behind him. And with Chubba Purdy and Logan Smothers, it was definitely a drop off in performance. And, you know, we can talk about the offensive line, and yeah, it needs work. But man, Nebraska better do two things before we head into 2023. That's get another quarterback behind Casey Thompson who can fill in better than Smothers and Purdy, or pray that Casey Thompson comes back and doesn't get hurt again. Now, I don't think you can bank on those things happening. You cannot say Casey Thompson, because the injury he had in 2022 is the same injury he had in 2021 at Texas. And so to say that Casey Thompson won't get injured and to say that you got no one behind him as a backup, I think that doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying Logan Smothers, and I know a lot of y'all like Logan Smothers. I like Logan Smothers. I'm not saying he's not a good option, but I'm saying without the number of games, without the reps, without all of that, Nebraska's going to have someone behind Casey Thompson. And if Casey Thompson doesn't come back, you're going to need someone to fill his shoes. Okay, look at the screen right now. This is a list of the quarterbacks on Nebraska's roster as I'm recording this video. We know about Casey Thompson, Logan Smothers, Chubba Purdy, but the rest of those guys, Matt Masker, Cooper Houseman, Mikey Polley, Jarrett Sinek, Heinrich Harburg, and Richard Torres, those guys have literally played nothing at Nebraska. And even if you say they've got, you know, potential, or they must have been good quarterbacks in high school, or there's some reason the coaching staff brought them on, you can say anything you want about the guys you're looking at on the screen right now, but the one thing is a guarantee: it's unproven. And we need somebody with some proven ability at quarterback, either as a starter to take Casey Thompson's place or as a backup. And when you look at Logan Smothers, that's the one name on the list that strikes me as a guy I think deserves more time, and I'll tell you why. His completion percentage, although with a small sample, is right in line with Casey Thompson, which was right in line with Adrian Martinez. And he's also the best running quarterback that was on Nebraska's staff last year and maybe going into next year until we get to Malik Hornsby, which I'll talk about in a moment. I just feel like Nebraska, we can talk about the offensive line and we can talk about the different bad play calling some coaches may have done. But in the end, Nebraska has a hole at quarterback that cannot be filled with unknown commodities right now. Now, in my research for this video, looking at quarterbacks playing for Nebraska, obviously I found the news about Malik Hornsby from Arkansas, who's very high on coming to play at Nebraska. And in fact, he's actually going to be in Nebraska this weekend. And from what I can read, you'll see in a moment, Matt Rule likes Malik Hornsby and liked him as a prospect for Baylor many years ago. And if Malik wants to play at Nebraska and Matt Rule wants him to play, I think it's an odds-on bet that Malik Hornsby is going to be playing in Nebraska. So with that in mind, let me read to you from an article written by someone named Evan Demerel, who writes for bestofarkansassports.com. I'll put a link to that in the more information section of this video. On the screen right now, the article says that Hornsby, that's Malik Hornsby, the Razorbacks' former backup quarterback, entered the transfer portal in late November after a tumultuous third season in Fayetteville. His camp says he's gotten interest from LSU, Missouri, UCLA, Texas A&M, among others, but it's Matt Rule's program that so far looks the most promising. Hornsby is visiting the Cornhuskers this weekend and has the Nebraska football program, quote, very high on his list, end quote, of potential landing spots, according to his trainer, J.P. Tillman. Some of that stems from familiarity, now watch this, with Rule from his Texas high school days. When as a junior and senior, he threw for a combined 52 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions while running for 30 more touchdowns. Hornsby was set to commit to Baylor when Rule left for the NFL in January 2020. But the main reason Hornsby wants to make Lincoln, Nebraska his new home, it appears, is because he believes Rule, new offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield, and the rest of the Cornhuskers staff can develop him in ways Hogs coach Sam Pittman, offensive coordinator Kendall Browse, and the rest of the staff couldn't. So let me pause here for a moment. If there was a quarterback that was going to play for Nebraska, there was a local kid who had thrown for 52 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions and had run for 30 more touchdowns, that's a guy that would probably be starting in year 1. Those are amazing statistics. And what's more interesting to me is that this is a guy that Matt Rule was high on right before he went to Carolina, and now he is available. He's through the transfer portal, and according to his trainer, likes what Matt Rule is doing at Nebraska. So you can see why I think that there's a little synergy there. That I think is beyond synergy. I think that Malik will probably be playing at Nebraska. Article continues. Tillman, that's Malik's trainer, told Bland that the plans for Hornsby, by the way, that's Evan Bland, writer for the Omaha World Herald. Tillman told Bland the plans for Hornsby to come alongside Nebraska's 2022 starter Casey Thompson, who has 1 more season of eligibility, but whose spring status is unknown, coming off shoulder surgery. Hornsby has 3 years to play. In theory, he could redshirt next year and be full go for 2024-2025. Quote, Malik coming in there is more about the future of Nebraska, Tillman added. Casey Thompson has 1 more year. Right now we want to get on the field and get plays and start getting used to the offense. So let me pause again here. It's interesting to me that for a guy entering the portal, and a guy with ties to Matt Rule, his trainer is talking in the present and future tense about Malik actually doing something and being very specific about it. So I think that you can pretty much put money on this guy playing in Nebraska, in my opinion. The last thing I want to read you from the article is this. Hornsby has every incentive to make it work at his next stop, given he now has a young son along with his family and wants to one day make a living with pro football. Let me pause here just again for a moment. You've heard me talk about Jack Kajant having a son, and when you have a kid, you're going to want to work real hard to make sure your kid's got food to eat. And the article continues by saying, at Arkansas, his work ethic was never in doubt. The fact he tried to make a go of it for 3 seasons, even coming back for a 3rd season after entering the portal after 2021, shows the kind of resolve that will serve him well in the future. Again, This is written by someone at Arkansas about a guy who's leaving their program. These are very kind and extremely glowing words to write about somebody who is leaving and going to another school. Many Arkansas football fans soured on him after his horrid outing against LSU. But it should be remembered, wherever Hornsby ends up next, he won't have to play against Harold Perkins every week. And that may be just what the former 4-star recruit needs to finally excel. Arriving in Fayetteville in 2020, Malik Hornsby wanted to play a bigger role in Razorback football's return to glory after the dark years of Chad Morris and Brett Bielema. He didn't become the starter he envisioned he would be, but he did have a hand in the Hogs, making 3 straight bowl games after so much struggle. Now, he may go on to another once-proud program that holds the loyalty of an entire state. Nebraska football has somehow suffered 6 consecutive losing seasons, and in the last 5 seasons has lost to Troy State, Colorado twice, and Georgia Southern. The article concludes, Godspeed to the fastest former Razorback of all in finding the nurturing he mysteriously never received at Arkansas. When I read this and more about Malik Hornsby, and I look at the connection between him and Matt Rule, I can't help but believe 2 things are true. 1, I feel very certain about he's coming to Nebraska. And 2, with the skill set he's got, with the incentives he has to be a good player, and his connection to Matt Rule, Malik Hornsby might not be just a backup for Casey Thompson. If need be, he could be a starter this year. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. And I'll see you next video. As always, go Big Red. And just because I'm wearing this Maverick shirt, it doesn't mean I'm not a Husker fan. I love Nebraska, and I love all y'all. And I'll see you next time.